Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's a beautiful Saturday today. We have a lot of really good news today. We'll start off with some XRP news, then we got a little bit of stellar updates here, which one of our members was absolutely correct on something that individual said the other day. We'll get to that. All right, a little bit of banking news. They're doing terribly as usual. Let's begin here. This article was titled Ripple CTO to shed light on the next level up there. You see that up there? The next level of XRP interoperability. Now, this is after we've heard governments complaining about interoperability. We've heard big companies complaining about interoperability. Uh-oh, you forgot while you were copying us. Yeah, trying to walk in our footsteps. You forgot interoperability, all that innovation that you tried to steal. You know, the governments, the companies, they tried to do everything we could, but they couldn't do it as good as we could. They didn't get as far as we've gotten. They haven't figured everything out, and that equals money because they have to come to us. I told you, they need us. We don't need them. And we're going to take that money. Just my humble opinion. You could disagree. But now he's talking about it after they all said all of those things. Let's not forget to include the central banks that were all complaining about siloed systems. That was the BIS, the IMF, the ECB. I can't wait for them to roll out their little Euro CBDC. That's siloed. My word. Absolutely terrible. When we step in, we can connect everything. We will connect everything, my humble opinion. And that's when you're starting to get that big volume, that big transaction values flowing. A global dominant system is what the new financial system is. XRP, XLM, Algorand, just my humble opinion. You could disagree. Quant is in there. Apparently Solana is going to be in there. If you saw some things, like go to the members only section, read those posts. Also, don't forget to watch that new members only video I just put out, right? Solana is in there. LCX is in there. I mean, like the bank coins have been going strong, but let's continue on here. Okay. It says Ripple CTO David Schwartz will present his vision for the future of blockchain interoperability at the upcoming ETH Denver Summit. Interoperability is a key feature of blockchain technology since it allows for easy exchange and transfer of data value across several platforms. And who doesn't do that? I don't know, Al. I'll take the legacy system for 20 points. You're correct, Bob. 20 points you get, buddy. Oh, man, I love those old game shows. The old game shows were the best. I don't care what anyone says. They just don't do it like that anymore. Remember when they used to have the people? I'm always reminiscing. I like to think about the past because it makes me feel great, makes me feel good. It was awesome back then. It just was. You had to be there to understand. But do you remember when they used to have the game shows where somebody would run through a store with carriages? It'd be like two teams. They run through the store with carriages and they're just pulling stuff off the shelf, whatever they could fill in that cart, that carriage cart, whatever. In that cart, they get to keep after like the 5 or 8 minutes. Oh, that was so awesome. And every single time, I promise you, they would go past something. Me and my people were screaming at the TV. Hey, get that. Get that, get the toilet paper, get the turkeys, it's like, I wonder if that was set up. I wonder, do you know that if it was set up or not? I wonder if it was set up that way to frustrate the people to get more engagement, right? Because every episode you will watch hoping that they're going to pick the big money stuff. They picking the little stuff. They just, oh man, I don't know. Like I said, you had to be there to understand, but we had some awesome game shows back then. Talk shows as well. I'm not going to, what is that phrase that the youth have? I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to hold you. We had the best of the best talk shows too. Oh man, all types of debating. Yeah, there was some fisticuffs as well. They got to throw in some blows from time to time, but I can tell you it was wildly entertaining. So let's get back to the articles here and be a little professional. It says here, David Schwartz will talk about the XRP, how XRPL can support the multi-chain future. Once again, world domination music to my ears. The Ripple CTL will be live at the XRPL zone at ETH Denver to also discuss the latest XRPL advancements, such as the EVM programmability. So big things continue to happen for one of the absolute best, if not the best, cryptos on the planet, XRP. All right, so let's move on to this article right here. Now, this next article is very interesting. You tell me why they would be doing this if there wasn't a possibility. It's titled, Ripple Now Hiring a Senior Manager to Manage XRP ETF Initiatives. All right, let's delve into this because I need to hear what they're talking about here. I need them to really make this concrete. It says Ripple's new hiring move suggests that the American crypto payments giants could be interested in an XRP exchange traded fund. I told people it was a possibility. I told them it was a possibility. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I don't know if they're going to pull it off. I don't know. But obviously Ripple believes it's a possibility as well. And if Bitcoin kicked the door open, and the door's open a certain degree, XRP would literally rip the door off the hinges. Rip the door off the, and any company that does that would be sticking the knife in slow in the SEC's ribcage, 100%. It says in a recent post on X, Ripple called attention to its job opening for skilled individuals in a decentralized finance to oversee activities tailored to institutional investors. Then they have the actual cropping of the tweet here. It says here, join a team building breakthrough blockchain solutions for a world without economic borders. Explore open roles at Ripple, including senior product manager, DeFi, for London, senior software engineer, that's for Bangalore, senior software engineer for Toronto. Let's scroll down here. Where do they get to this ETF business here? It says ideal candidate to work on crypto ETF initiatives. In line with its strategic positioning, Ripple seeks a growth-oriented senior manager of business development to join the Ripple X teams. Notably, Ripple X Crew is a developer community facilitating the adoption of institutional DeFi on the XRPL. In this position, the ideal candidate will collaborate closely with marketing and trading teams to pinpoint and capitalize on new partnerships and business development prospects. Per the Ripple job posting, the key responsibilities for this role involve spearheading cryptocurrency-related ETF initiatives. Interesting. This would be in collaboration with relevant partners and internal trading teams. I mean, listen. You tell me what it sounds like. Do you believe? Listen, ETF is not the be all end all. And, I believe like something like XRP. Do we need it? No. Would it be nice? Sure, I'll take it. But with everything that we're doing with cross-border payments, interbank payments, CBDCs, all of this big stuff. XRP is so huge. Like ETF is just a little bit more sprinkles on the top. If we get it, we get it. If we don't, we don't. That's how I look at it, It's not the most exciting thing to me, but it's interesting. I'll say that. But you tell me, you think they can get this XRP ETF going at some point? It says the mention of crypto ETF initiatives as a pivotal function for the senior manager Ripple is hiring has sparked bullish comments from members of the XRP community. I mean, what's going to be easier to get an ETF for than XRP that has clarity through a court system? So I would think that will be at the forefront. Not only that, but obviously, Ripple has a huge vested interest in XRP. So seems possible, in my humble opinion. All right, moving on right along. We have an article here. Now, this article is titled CBDCs and Stablecoins like USDC eyeball XRP ledger amid clawback amendment consensus. So like I said the other day, there's a lot of big votes coming up, a lot of big things going on with XRPL, with Stellar, a few different chains. Let's find out what happened. It says the XRP community has begun touting the arrival of CBDCs and stablecoins like USDC on the XRP ledger as the clawback amendment reaches validator consensus. Validators on the XRPL have voted to pass the XLS 39 amendment, which seeks to introduce the clawback feature on the blockchain network. The amendment attained validator consensus 4 months after it was introduced. Data from XRP Scan, a leading XRP explorer, shows that the amendment has reached 85.71% validator consensus, surpassing the required 80% threshold. For context, an amendment on the XRPL can only pass if it achieves 80% validator consensus for 2 consecutive weeks. Ooh. XRP Scan data reveals that 30 out of 35 validators voted yay to the XLS 39 amendment, while 5 validators opted for nay. All right, I guess they have their reasons. Among the most notable validators that voted in favor of the amendment are Ripple, XRPL Explorers Bithomp, and XRP Scan and crypto exchange BitTrue. Despite crossing the required validator consensus, the XLS 39 amendment is still not live on the XRP ledger, so that's important to keep in mind. It's not live yet. Notably, the amendment is expected to be implemented on February the 8th at 1432 UTC. All right. So there you have it. I guess if people want to know more, they have a lot more to this article. If you want to know more about the clawback features, they have sections on that. The difference between a clawback and a freeze, they have sections on that. If this is something positive for the XRPL, I'm happy to be moving forward. I'm happy that they're growing, they're stronger, because I want to make a lot of money off of XRP, buddy. All right. So if it's good, if it's a shot of steroids in the arm to XRPL, I'm all for it. All right. So now let's move on here because we have some more news to get through. All right. On this very, very nice Saturday evening. All right. I know I have a lot of people around the world, so it may not be Saturday evening to you. I hope you're having a great whatever it is to you. All right. So this article here is titled XRP News. Judge Torres, the Honorable Annalisa Torres. Put some respect on her name. She gave XRP clarity. Judge Torres grants Ripple motion to file SIR reply letter. Uh-oh. We get to fight back a little bit, SEC. You better put your guard up. Yeah. So it says here, the Thursday overview. Oh, well, let's skip that part there. They're just talking about XRP price. Not worried about that right now. SEC versus Ripple case. It says related news garnered investor interest on Thursday. Defense attorney James Fallon shared the latest from the ongoing SEC versus Ripple case, saying on Wednesday, Ripple filed a motion to file a SIR reply relating to the SEC's motion to compel. In the motion to file a SIR reply, Ripple asked permission, quote, to correct a significant factual mischaracterization made by the SEC for the first time in its reply. Ripple provided the proposed SIR reply letter within the filing, which stated, quote, the SEC claims that Ripple does not argue, and then argue that it would be burden in producing post-complaint contracts. All right, they're a little bit redacted here. That is false. Ripple specifically objected to the SEC's request as overly burdensome, unquote. I shouldn't have said redacted. It's just another like ... there, okay? They're trying to shorten it so we can read a little bit of the significant parts. The SIR reply letter went on to say, quote, the SEC then doubles down on its misstatement, asserting Ripple recently cataloged and presumably produced in the ongoing class action suit all of Ripple's XRP sales contracts from 2020 to June 2023, including determining the identity of counterparties to those contracts. That is also false. So they're calling the SEC out again. The SEC is getting exposed for more mischaracterization, lies, right? Manipulation. That seems like all they have left here. It says here, Judge Torres must now consider the SEC's motion to compel, Ripple's opposition filing, and the SIR reply letter. On January the 11th, the SEC filed the motion to compel that we know. It says Ripple opposed the motion to compel on January the 19th. I mean, they just keep this going on and on and on and on, but we have to win. We must continue to fight. You know, they're trying to fight a war of attrition. Like that's when you're battling somebody and your intention is to wear them out. You're just trying to outlast them. No, they cannot outlast us. We will continue to dominate them. We will have victory over the SEC once again, and this time with finality. Just my humble opinion, all right, from everything that I've seen. You could disagree with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. So now let's move on here, folks. A little bit of stellar news. All right. So yesterday we heard about there being a bug in some of the mechanisms of Protocol 20. All right. We had a member in the comment section actually said, hey, listen, I would rather because I asked people what would they rather us move forward with this and don't worry about the bug, work it out with everything live, or push it back and then have them fix it before they roll it out. Right. And one of our esteemed members, brilliant members, Linda, said that it probably would be better to push it back and fix everything so that there's no problems. And I agree with that. And it looks like the Stellar Development Foundation agrees with that as well. Like I said, we have some of the most brilliant, articulate members on the planet, in my humble opinion. That's how I feel. I love every second of hearing their thoughts. It says here, SDF's decision to disarm its validators and vote to postpone the Protocol 20 upgrade. This is a blog post on stellar.org, okay? It says, after hearing the concerns expressed by various participants in the Stellar ecosystem, including contract developers, wallet developers, validators, and tools builders. Well, you could have just come to my members only section. They would have told you. It says the SDF has decided to disarm our validators to prevent them from voting to upgrade the network to Protocol 20 on January 30th. As the network introduces the biggest protocol change to date. Yeah, it's going to be massive. I'm ready for it. So the smart contracts can run wild. We're faster, better, more secure, cheaper than everybody else. And we have the big companies already, and they're just salivating over that smart contract use, which will bring in more business. So I agree. Fix it first. Let's roll it out. Let everything go smooth. We just have to be a little bit patient. I mean, really don't have any choice. And then unleash that lion. That's how I feel. It says it's important to have broad consensus at the vote, but also in the lead up to it, everyone needs to be ready. Okay, it says on January 25th, we were notified the ecosystem of a bug. We know that. It says upgrading the network is not something SDF does alone. And to inform the decision about whether to move forward given the bug, we opened threads on the Stellar Development Discord and our developer mailing list and encourage the ecosystem to weigh in. Ultimately, the robust feedback and discussions regarding this choice caused us to change our approach. All right. So I'm glad to hear that they were listening and they did their work. And this is what the people wanted. This is what the companies want as well. All right. Now we get it done and we come back. We make sure it's near perfect as possible, so nothing gets in the way of that money. This is really good too, to have discovered that, fix it now before that massive bull run comes and everybody wants to use smart contracts even more. You know, use smart contracts for a lot of different things here. So still have a little bit of time before that big bull run pops off. And I believe, just my personal opinion, you could disagree. Not financial advice either. I'm not a financial advisor, but I believe there's going to be a massive bull run whenever the next true one begins. And we want this to be smoothed out. Everything on Stellar to be absolutely perfect. And I think we're going to see some fireworks. You know, you could disagree with that, but I think we're going to see some fireworks. All right. So now a little bit of banking news. They are absolutely, like, be careful with these banks. I know I've said it 1,000 times, but every day we learn a little bit more news because it's like the veil is being removed. Anybody else feel like that? There's a lot of things getting exposed that in years prior were not getting exposed. There's a lot of information being put out here that wasn't being put out here before. And as we found out, some of these banks, we read an article the other day about a certain bank that is now in legal proceedings for having stopped their customers from talking about the things that were going wrong with that bank, right? So I'll just leave that at that. But I think that's one of the reasons now is people are starting to be able to talk about this stuff. So now it says here, Wells Fargo approves $147,000 in abnormal transactions, denies responsibility after customer's account drained. We've read at the least 20 articles like this from the beginning of 2023 until now. And so the regular people have had enough. And they're spreading this type of information now. It's not just articles being written anymore. Now this type of information is getting spread to social media. So more and more people are starting to, be a little bit standoffish with the banks. They're pulling their money out of banks. We've also read articles on this channel where there's a record amount of people pulling cash out of banks. They're just sitting on cash. This is what the reports say. I would like to believe that they took that cash and invested it somewhere else. You know what I mean? But that's what the reports are saying. All right. So they're pulling their money out of these banks. We've also read countless articles on massive deposit flight. So that's whether people are pulling cash out of the banks or they're just moving their money to somewhere else, which there's a lot of different options right now. OK, other to have an account that's like a bank account, but it's not a bank account. It's not at a bank. Right. So the people are starting to turn their backs on the banks big time. And this is also, once again, I think I said this at the beginning of the video. That brings into perspective why we're getting all these articles from financial media about the banks being worried about bank runs. Again, something I'm keeping my eye on. And I think it's very possible a couple of banks go down in 2024. You have over 300 of them at risk. And that number came down a little bit. I'm not sure why, but it could be because at one time they were saying it was 500 banks at risk. Now it's like all of a sudden it's back to 300. But then again, with that borrowing, that bailout fund, is it possible? You think it's possible that they borrowed enough money where some of the banks now feel like they're not at risk? So that's what they're reporting. I think that's possible, right? Because they've been able to borrow for it's about to be a solid year that fund was established since the whole Silicon Valley Bank and all those other banks went down last year, right? It was about to go on about a year solid now coming up. So maybe they borrowed enough money to not be at risk. But anyway, right now what's being reported, this was about 2 weeks ago, 300 banks are at risk. All right, so now it says here, a Wells Fargo customer says the banking giant should have raised a red flag when $147,000 was drained from her account in less than an hour. And this is what I'm talking about. A lot of these regulators talk about how safe the banks are. A lot of these banking heads, of course, they're going to promote themselves as being the best in the state and the safest when they're not. They're absolutely terrible. They're very, very dangerous. Some of us have to interact with them. I'm just saying, be careful. I can't tell you what to do, but I would be careful. It says Judith, and I would check on things frequently. I will have notifications set up. Like if anything goes on with my account, boom, a little notification pops up. Any security that you could put on there, make sure you're not lackadaisical. Like I said, I can't tell you what to do. I'm just saying this is what I would do. I wouldn't be lackadaisical with that. I would put as much security on that account as possible. All right. It says Judith Anderson. Oh, they name dropped. Says she recently received a call from a number that appeared as, quote, Wells Fargo, unquote, on her phone. Oh, that's a problem. Be careful with these scam artists out here because they will make it look real. It says reports NBC San Diego, but the number was spoofed and the caller was a thief who convinced Anderson that someone was trying to move money out of her bank account. To supposedly save her money, the scammer pressured Anderson. Okay, so usually I go in hard on the banks, but I'm trying to see how she connects this to the bank. Because really, as I'm reading this, I'm like, well, it's not real. Wells Fargo is not really involved, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's keep going. To supposedly save her money, the scammer pressured Anderson into initiating several wire transfers to a different account that also appeared to have her name on it. But her money was gone in seconds, and Wells Fargo says it's not responsible. You're going to have to make an argument as to why they're responsible. Although Anderson feels foolish, she says the bank should have had safety measures in place to double check and ensure the sudden burst of large transfers were legitimate. Oh, I see where she's going. Okay. All right. And I'll be careful how I say this. Yes, certain banks do have things in place where I mean, it's hard to get a large transaction to even go through if you have certain mechanisms set up. They will check everything. They will freeze that stuff quickly and call you and say, hey, are you the one doing this? Or, you know, at least that's how it used to be. I don't know about Wells Fargo. Clearly, they don't have something like that set up. So I see where she's going. Okay, she has an argument here. In my humble opinion, you let me know if you think differently. Maybe if you think she doesn't have an argument here. It says, quote, after the first transfer, wouldn't there be something internally of that doesn't look right? That's what I'm saying. A lot of banks do that. They will not let that go through. They will hold it. And you'll see that they held it, right? It might be something normal. You're just normally trying to move something. They'll freeze that and give you a call, or you have to call them. You'll just see that it's frozen, and you'll have to give authorization before that goes through. Like I said, that's just what I know. All right. Says she's banked there for 52 years, and that's abnormal behavior, unquote. Oh, okay. So like I said, she has a good argument here. NBC asked Wells Fargo if it has implemented safety measures to ensure large transfers are legit, but the bank issued a generic statement, of course. All right, so we're going to leave off there. Let's go here because I had two more articles. We're not going to get through both of them. I had an article here. It was about another banking problem. All right. These ATMs, we've read at least 7 articles now on the channel about these ATMs and people making deposits there, and their deposits are going poof. They're disappearing. So this was from thesun.com. Don't make a mistake I made, says Chase customer who lost $1,700 cash. It's a recurring problem and victims must act. This is what he's saying here. So he's saying he put the money in the ATM and I guess it just disappeared. He claimed the Chase ATM he deposited his money into printed a receipt with a number on it that read, this transaction might not have gone through. Call this number. What? What in the world? That's one of the craziest things I've heard in a long time. That would have me flabbergasted and fired up. I'll be fired up. I don't care if it's $1. I don't care if it's 500K. I don't play with my money at all. Like, you know, it says Jiggy Soul said he called the number on the receipt, which routed him to a Chase customer service representative. He added that he was then advised to get in line for a Chase claims hotline, where he waited for over an hour to speak to a representative. Yeah, they're terrible with customer service, man. Unbelievable. Jiggy Soul said he eventually got his money back. Quote, but it was a mess. Well, okay, man, listen, I'm glad you got your money back. I am. I hate for people to lose money because I know the value of $1, the value of money, and saving. I hope you're saving your money up for the future. You know what I mean? And, you know, building a cushion for yourself. You know what I mean? So now you have that. So I would be careful with these ATMs out here, you know. So now let's close out with this one here. Squeeze this in here because this might affect the market a little bit here. So now this article is titled Fears of Price Dump Mount as Celsius Prepares to Unleash I'm just going to round it off here. $1 billion in Ethereum. What? These big institutions just keep dumping things on the market en masse. And yes, that's going to cause problems, you know. So I don't have any Ethereum, 0. I have none. But I hope people who have Ethereum are ready if this occurs, you know. So we're just going to leave it off there. Keep the video a little bit on the shorter side today. All right. So now that you have the information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with this. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.